As a physiotherapist, I've spent years dealing with unhappy bodies. Along the way, I've discovered a secret to improve well-being and sustain a healthier life. To feel differently, you need to think differently. And that's what a happy body is all about.
This is what we see with kids all around Australia. Kids struggling in the door with backpacks, sports equipment and instruments. As you can see with Mia, she's got things hanging on this shoulder, things hanging off this arm. She's got a heavy backpack, and the trouble is when she's sideways, it really drags her down. It's quite heavy, isn't it, Mia? The thing is, she's actually at least a little bit balanced. These days, a lot of kids hate carrying on both sides because it's not cool. Show us what you do when it's on one side. And you can see that really loads her up and creates almost a scoliosis. So there's two problems. One is that the bags are often too heavy, and the second is that they're the wrong shape and that we're packing them badly. So let's have a look at those two things. The first thing is let's look at how much Mia actually weighs. She is, on your pop, Mia, look at that, she's only 32 kilos, which means in theory, her recommended weight that she should be carrying is about 10%, about 3.5 kilos. Now, Mia, how much do you think we've got in this bag? This is pretty normal for her day. If we just pop the scale on, what we can see is she's got a pretty normal lunchbox with a lovely, healthy lunch in it, but it's nearly a kilo by the time we add all the fruit. What happens when we start weighing her books? We've got another kilo there. We then add a little bit more, 3.5 kilos, Mia, already, and then add her pencil case, and we're nearly at 5 kilos. Then, if you add her water bottle, it's another 600 mils. We're up at 5.5 kilos. So on poor little Mia's shoulders, once you added her backpack and if you added her instrument and her tennis racket, now one of the poor kid gets really sore at the end of the day. What can we do about it? Well, one of the simplest things is leave the water at home and fill it up at the bubblers when you get to school, because 600 mils of water is 600 grams. So that's quite a lot of weight that you can take out of their bag straight away. The other thing you can think about is it's the way you pack the bag that's really important. Think about trying to distribute load, so you're trying to get it flatter towards her body. So if Mia had her backpack on, here, you're trying to get it close to her shoulders like that, and you're trying to get it flatter and closer to her body. So when you're packing, try and keep the bigger things closer to her body, and things like heavy textbooks, if possible, try and keep them at home or in their lockers so that they don't have to lug them back and forth from school. The other thing is with lunchboxes, have a think about trying to find a lunchbox that the actual lunchbox is really soft and pliable, and that you can actually put it up against the wall of the backpack much more easily, so it's not creating a huge load that's pulling her back there. When she's got her backpack on, most backpacks will have a really good strap here. Now, I know, having children myself, that they hate the thought of doing anything that isn't cool, but in fact, this little clip makes an enormous difference to the load on her body. And so if you can convince them to actually have the clip across, it makes a big difference. Some backpacks also have a strap across here, which is fantastic, and that really takes the load off, but I know that a lot of kids won't do it. But at least if you can try and convince them to use this strap, it's a really good idea. If we pop that off for a minute, Mia, an option that's happening in a lot of schools now is that they've got laptops. Just remember, the average laptop is still probably a couple of kilos, if not more. So you still have to think about how you're going to use it. With someone like Mia, you still want to think about packing that in so it's nice and close in the backpack, and that she's not carrying on one side, which most kids still tend to do. So if they are using a laptop, think about leaving other books at home, because it's getting to the stage now where ideally we'll be able to load a lot of those textbooks onto the hard drive so that the kids aren't going to have to lug back and forth. If you know that your child also has sporting gear and instruments, have a really good think about which days are which so that you can try and work out some kind of system where you're not carrying an instrument and sporting equipment and your backpack on those days, because otherwise poor little people like Mia are going to get problems. That's my advice. Pack close, try and pack lighter, have a think about things you can leave at home, especially mushy bananas in the bottom of bags, and you'll find that the kids actually get home from school feeling a lot less weighted down.